So I just took the train from Atrau to here, Aktobe, completing the 3A loop, which was the plan. So Aktau, which I visited from Uzbekistan when I went to the Stikir Music Festival. Then the train to Atrau, which is where all of the oil, basically Chevron and Aegis, which is the Italian oil company, but they're fronted with a Kazakh name. They're all based in Atrau. It's kind of like the most affluent place, I guess, outside of Astana and Almaty. But not much personality in either one. I didn't really like Aktau, but compared to Atrau, at least it has a coast. Now I'm in Aktobe, and I just arrived. It's now 7:45. I arrived at 7:20, and the trains in Kazakhstan are amazing. Like, even though this one's super slow, it took 16 hours for a pretty small journey. When in 5 days I go to Turkestan from Aktobe, which is 24 hours, but it's like a huge proportion of Kazakhstan. So I don't understand quite how it works, but and they're so cheap as well. I paid for sleepers. I paid £8.20, third class, but it's not really third class at all. It's just a standard Platz car. It's not like a third class India. It's literally just like a normal kind of Slavic train. And yeah, I saw this hotel, which, so when you're in a lot of Soviet countries, they use the Russian app, which is called Ostrovok, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So we use like Booking.com and Agoda, Hotels.com, Expedia, Postal World, Airbnb, etc. Their version of that is Ostrovok. And I saw this price, which on Booking.com there's nothing that's good. In fact, on all of the other websites there's nothing that's of value, I would say. I booked this one, and I feel like it might be a price mistake as well, because they did have a little word in the back. But because they're Russian, they're super honest. You wouldn't, if there was a mistake in the UK, they'd just be like, "Oh, sorry, we made a mistake. It's actually this price." So I paid for this room, which does look a bit smaller than the pictures, but it doesn't really matter. 20,000 for 5 nights, right? And that works out at it's 7,000 for £10, so it's £6.80, £6.99. The bathroom is outside, but the whole place is authentic Soviet Union. And the last place I stayed that was like a legit Soviet hotel was 2017 Bishkek, and it was Hotel Dostrik or something like this, and it was one of those classic like concrete brutalist hotels, like the flagship hotel that the Soviet government would have built in every major city. There's a famous one in Tashkent that you can stay at as well, and I stayed there during like a renovation, so that was super cheap. But yeah, this is, I know it's nothing like luxury, but look at the Soviet sink. So we have the look at it. This is original. I don't know if that feels almost like porcelain. And then we have 2 beds, an old school TV, a desk. I know it doesn't look luxurious at all, but got to bear in mind, and I do think this is a mistake, the rest of the hotel is not representative of this room. They have like 10 different grades of rooms. This is obviously the cheapest one. I can't resist a deal. £6.90 in Kazakhstan. And Kazakhstan, for those of you that are watching and you're maybe not aware of the prices in Central Asian regions, Kazakhstan is crazy expensive now. I was saying to a friend, relative to income, it's way more than the UK for sure. Like there are a few things that are like really cheap, like, you know, distance-wise, like trains, obviously, you know, £8.50, you can't get that. That's been pretty much subsidised. They're all Soviet trains. But food's not crazy expensive, but it's, again, relative to where you are. To give you an idea, I love fruit. I buy a lot of fruit, and obviously because I've been in the desert regions on this west coast, in Mangstau region and western Kazakhstan, and now I'm in Aktobe region. So 3 regions, 3 different cities beginning with A. Most of it's really desolate, and most of it was desert until like an hour and a half ago. I came from Kyrgyzstan through Uzbekistan, and I was buying in the Batken region of Kyrgyzstan 1 kilo of cherries for 100 som, which works out about 80 pence a kilo of fresh cherries. And that kind of relates to most other fruits and vegetables. In Aktobe, it was 3,500 and it's 700 per pound for Kazakh tenge, so £5 versus 85p. And that relates to fresh food of all kinds. Like, it's restaurant food, whether it's fish, whether it's chicken, whether it's meats and veg. The veg is insane. I went to a milk bar yesterday, which is kind of like an old Soviet style. You have it's set up like a buffet, but you don't help yourself. You choose what you want, and then they charge you at the end based on weight. So I did go to a fancier one. It wasn't like a really traditional one. It was quite modern and nice. The prices were just ridiculous, and this is still a place where people go because it's more affordable. I swear on my life, she put one leaf of lettuce, just one lettuce leaf, just not a big one, just one lettuce leaf on my plate, 350, 60p for one leaf. And then a little bit of broccoli was 1,300, which is already £2. And again, that doesn't sound like a lot if you're in the UK. Then when you have all the veg and the meat, and this is like a cheap place to eat, it came to $10, right? Which in Kyrgyzstan or Uzbekistan, you could get a whole shashlik and a massive plate of lagman or ashlan fu, garam fan, beshbarmat, you name it, and it would come to $2. So again, and obviously Kyrgyzstan is a cheaper country, Uzbekistan is cheaper, but people in Kazakhstan are not making 5 times the amount. And you see that reflected in what I've just paid for this room for a night. So, it's obviously not like super luxury. It's getting dark in here, let me turn the light on. It's the same as what I literally just paid for a very mediocre lunch yesterday, of which I would have 3 of those meals a day minimum, which is already like 21 quid in Kazakhstan versus like a £5 in Kyrgyzstan or less. The lights don't work. What's this? Is this like a Soviet era? Do I need to like turn this on for power? Do I need to put like coins in there and get electricity? Very strange. So that's the just. I'm going to film more on this hotel. It's amazing. It's so. One more thing. So with these Soviet hotels, I feel like the people that work there have been working there since like day one. I went to a spa. It's like sanatorium they call it, which is there's many all over the former Soviet countries. But there's one in Jetyorguz near Karakol, and I went there maybe it's 5 years ago, and I think it's closed down now. But you have these radiant baths and masseuses and all this therapy, and all of the therapists or physical therapist doctors, they're all like 80, 90 years old. They haven't left since the 50s. And I just checked into this hotel, and both of the staff were like, I would say 55-year-old women dressing like exactly how they dressed when they were 18, working behind the counter. And to be fair to them, for 55, not bad. I mean, if you've been working behind the desk, they're in decent shape, but if you've been working behind the desk in what was formerly a prestigious hotel, now it's not, but it's a lot of people probably come here because it's super famous, but you can see the amount of rooms they have. These Soviet hotels are insane. But anyway, I digress. Imagine, I know this is a dirty thing, I'm thinking, imagine how many guests they must have banged, unless they're married. But that doesn't necessarily change anything. That's just what came to my mind. I was like, if you worked in a hotel, especially in the years of its prestige, and you were single, because you can see like the foyer is really nice, it's really classy, like very, very sophisticated foyer. Then you come up the stairs. This room hasn't been changed for like 40 years for sure. You can see the sink hasn't been changed, so it's probably the original management who are really like tight, because this is a very Russian thing. Everything is so efficiently, practically, calculated. And anyway, so another thing I was saying, when I show you just this one floor, and it's one of these, it's not a sky rise, but it's a pretty high building. This one floor has started at 301. I'm 332, and I'm halfway down one corridor on one floor. That gives you an idea of how many rooms this place has in it. just to heat and maintain the place. My God. Anyway, longish video. I'll leave it there. 10:03.